The moment I stepped into the office, the CEO's wife slapped me. Before I could even process the pain, a stack of photos of the affair was thrown in my face. You slut. How dare you sleep with my husband? I'll make sure you never work in New York again. Where is legal? Tell HR to fire her immediately. I want her blacklisted everywhere. My best friend, Chloe Sterling, stood nearby with red, teary eyes. She looked at me with deep disappointment. Stella, I can't believe you're the mistress who seduced the boss. No wonder I saw you at that hotel last time. I was completely stunned. I was single. How could I possibly be a mistress? Just as I opened my mouth to defend myself, a series of glowing chat comments suddenly flashed before my eyes like a live stream. Chloe is the real mistress. She is framing you. She stole your ID card to book those hotel rooms. She even bribed the hotel receptionist. If you say it wasn't me right now, she will pull out fake video evidence to destroy you. It's promotion season. If you get fired, the department manager position is hers. Defending yourself won't work. Cry. Start crying right now. Pretend you were drugged and assaulted. Play the victim. I immediately choked back my explanation. In a split second, tears welled up in my eyes. I looked at Chloe with gratitude. Chloe, thank you. Under the bewildered stares of everyone in the room, I pulled out my phone, dialed 911, and put it on speakerphone. I'd like to report a crime. I was drugged and assaulted. I have physical evidence and witnesses. Stella, are you crazy? You're filing a false police report just to escape the consequences. I sidestepped Chloe as she tried to snatch my phone, staring straight into her eyes. But I have absolutely no memory of what happened in those photos. And what you just said about seeing me at the hotel. I don't remember a single thing about that either. Unless I was drugged and lost consciousness, or literally brainwashed, is there any other explanation? I hung up the phone. I pulled back a chair and sat down calmly. Victoria Harrington, the CEO's wife, let out a cold laugh. She slammed her limited edition Hermes bag heavily onto the conference table. Stella Vance, stop putting on a show. Do you really think calling the cops will clean your name after you seduced my husband? Whether my name is clean or not is for the police to decide. I replied, looking directly at her. Since you came here today to catch a mistress, wouldn't a full police investigation be better for you anyway? That way, you won't be manipulated by someone else and blame the wrong person. Chloe's eyes grew redder, her voice trembling. Stella, how can you still be so shameless at a time like this? I truly regret being your friend for all these years. She turned around to face Victoria and the other executives in the room. Mrs. Harrington, everyone, I actually noticed something was wrong a long time ago. Stella's spending habits have been way too high lately. It completely exceeds her salary as a regular employee. Last month, I saw her checking into the Intercontinental Hotel with my own eyes. As she spoke, she opened a video on her phone and projected it onto the large screen in the conference room. The video angle was clearly from the hotel lobby's security camera. In the footage, a woman wearing my limited edition trench coat and my custom star-themed bracelet was standing at the counter. After checking in, the woman took the room key and walked into the elevator. Although the camera only caught her back in a slight side profile. With that outfit and body shape, anyone would swear it was me. Where did you get this video? I asked, looking confused. I got it from a friend who works at the hotel, Chloe said proudly. The executives looked at me with immediate disgust. Wow, I couldn't tell. She acts so innocent at work, but she's so wild behind our backs. I didn't rush to defend myself. I just quietly stared at the screen. The trench coat was mine. The bracelet was mine. But during that exact weekend, my ID card had indeed gone missing for a few days. Later, it mysteriously reappeared in my office desk drawer. I turned my head to look at Chloe. Since you have the security footage, please hand it over to the police when they arrive. Identity theft and drug-facilitated sexual assault are major felonies. This video is crucial evidence. Chloe's face stiffened. She gritted her teeth. You're still lying. You booked that room yourself. There was no drug or assault. I smiled and asked, if I were sober and sneaking out to meet a married man, would I be that stupid? Would I brazenly use my own ID card to register at the front desk, basically begging to get caught? Victoria frowned, a sliver of doubt flashing in her eyes. Chloe immediately raised her voice, cutting in. Who knows what goes on in your twisted mind? Maybe you did it on purpose. Is that so? My voice remained flat. Then let the police find out who that woman really is. The police won't frame an innocent person, and they certainly won't let a criminal go. Just then, the conference room doors were pushed open. 2 uniformed police officers walked in. Who called 911? The lead officer, Detective Carter, scanned the room with a sharp gaze. I immediately stood up and raised my hand. I did, officer. I pointed to the photos scattered on the table, and then to the video still playing on the big screen. I explained the entire situation to Detective Carter from beginning to end. Detective Carter's face turned serious. He carefully placed the photos into an evidence bag. Aside from these photos, do we have any other leads? Chloe bit her lip and stepped forward. Officer, don't listen to her. She's just trying to cover up her guilt. She pointed at the screen and shouted. This is the video of her using her own ID to book a room at the hotel. She wasn't drugged. She was perfectly sober when she went to sleep with our boss. Detective Carter looked at the screen, then at Chloe. Where did you get this footage? I got it from a friend at the hotel front desk. Detective Carter gave her a stern look and held out his hand. Hand over the original video file and your phone. Chloe's face turned pale. Reluctantly, she handed over her phone. I immediately spoke up. Officer, I request a forensic analysis of this video. At the same time, I want to submit my dashcam footage, my apartment building's security log, and my phone's GPS data from that day. Chloe let out a cold snort, seemingly prepared. That was a weekend, and your apartment building had a power outage, so the cameras weren't working. You could easily alter your dashcam and GPS yourself. Did you plan all of this beforehand? She turned to the detective, her tone confident. Officer, she definitely snuck out during that time. I ignored her provocation and continued addressing the detective. I request the police to track this woman's exact movements. Detective Carter nodded and instructed the younger officer behind him. Get the high-definition footage from the hotel lobby, hallways, and parking garage for that day. Verify the ID number used for the room, the key card logs, and the payment account. Right then, the door was pushed open again. Liam Harrington, the CEO, walked in a rush. Seeing the police, he froze, his footsteps halting. His eyes locked with Chloe's for a brief second. The moment Victoria saw him, she rushed over and slapped him across the face. Liam Harrington, you still have the nerve to show up. Look at what you've done. Liam's head snapped to the side. He took a deep breath. Then he turned to look at me, his face suddenly twisting into a mask of pain and betrayal. Victoria, I'm sorry. He pointed at me, gritting his teeth. Stella Vance kept seducing me. That day, she blackmailed me into going to that hotel. I wanted to reject her, but she drugged my water. By the time I woke up, the damage was already done. The room erupted into whispers. The high and mighty CEO was actually throwing me under the bus in front of the police. Not only that, but he was turning the tables and accusing me of drugging him. Victoria was shaking with rage. She pointed at my face. Stella Vance, you shameless bitch. She lunged forward to grab my hair. I quickly took a half step back, avoiding her hands, and looked straight at Liam. I said calmly, I suggest we both take an immediate hair follicle drug test, and let the police sweep the hotel room for forensic evidence. Liam's expression changed instantly, but he quickly forced a hardened look. This happened almost a month ago. What forensic evidence could possibly be left? I stared him down. If you are truly the victim here, Mr. Harrington, you should want the police to investigate this even more than I do. Liam avoided my eyes. He pulled out his phone and handed some screenshots to Detective Carter. Officer, these are the Snapchat messages she sent to invite me to the hotel. The detective took the phone. The account name was Starry Night, and the profile picture was a selfie of me. Hey Liam, this Saturday at 2 p.m. Intercontinental Hotel, room 8026. See you there. Don't keep me waiting. Stella, we can't do this. If you don't show up, I'll tell Victoria about you embezzling company funds. Seeing the screenshots, Victoria blew up again. Not only is she a slut, she's an extortionist. Stella Vance, I will make sure your life is ruined. You will never work in this industry again. Chloe stood to the side, dabbing her tears and adding fuel to the fire. Stella, the boss showed the messages. Are you still going to deny it? That Snapchat account is your burner. You used to borrow money from me using that exact account. She turned to Detective Carter. Officer, is this enough proof of blackmail and seduction? Watching their coordinated performance, I sneered inwardly. Since Mr. Harrington has provided these screenshots, I request a full forensic investigation of the digital evidence. First, I want a subpoena for the registration email of that Snapchat account. Second, I want to verify the IP addresses and device MAC addresses used to send those messages. Third, Chloe claims I used that account to borrow money from her. I want her to show the corresponding bank transfer records. I pressed forward, my voice echoing in the room. Liam's eyes twitched. Chloe hurriedly interrupted. Everyone knows you majored in computer science. Changing an IP address is child's play for you. Mr. Harrington, we need to take your phone back to the station for digital forensics. Detective Carter cut her off coldly, putting Liam's phone into an evidence bag. Liam opened his mouth, but didn't dare to object. But Victoria wasn't done. She pulled a bank statement from her bag and slammed it onto the table. Officer, this is our corporate bank statement. She pointed at a bolded line of transaction data, her voice screeching. Liam used the company account to transfer $50,000 into Stella's personal bank account. This is the sugar daddy money. The proof is right here. The executives whispered among themselves again. 50 grand, she really took it. The evidence is undeniable. Let's see how she explains this. I glanced at the statement. The account number indeed belonged to an old, rarely used bank card of mine. Mrs. Harrington, can this bank statement be handed over to the police as evidence? Of course. It's key evidence. Great, I said calmly. Officer, I request an immediate freeze on this Chase bank account. Furthermore, I want to track all transaction paths and ATM withdrawal camera footage associated with this $50,000 after it was deposited. I turned my cold gaze toward Chloe. Let's see whose pocket that 50 grand actually ended up in. Chloe's breath hitched. She clenched her fists tightly, forcing herself to stay calm. Stella, you obviously withdrew that money in cash. What's the point of tracking the digital trail now? Do you think the police are stupid enough to believe you? She seemed to make up her mind about something. She reached into her bag, pulled out one last document, and handed it to the detective with a trembling hand. Officer, actually there is one more thing. I didn't want to bring this up because it concerns a woman's dignity. But I can't let Stella keep lying. She unfolded the paper. It was an abortion consent form from New York Central Hospital. In black and white, Stella Vance was written on the patient line. At the bottom right, there was a signature that looked exactly like my handwriting. Last Tuesday afternoon, Stella took a half day off. She actually went to the hospital for an abortion. Chloe wept dramatically. The baby was the boss's. She was terrified of getting caught, so she quietly terminated the pregnancy. I was worried about her, so I secretly followed her to the hospital. I managed to get a copy of this form from the nurse's desk when she wasn't looking. The room was in shock. Even Liam was stunned. Clearly, he had no idea Chloe had prepared this dramatic piece of evidence. Victoria was so angry she almost fainted. She leaned against the table, pointing a shaking finger at me. Fire her. Legal, draft the lawsuit right now. I'm not just firing her. I want her to spit out every single penny she took, and then I want her in prison. Detective Carter took the abortion form, frowning deeply as he turned to me. Stella Vance, is this your signature? I didn't answer immediately. Instead, I took a deep breath and let my eyes sweep across everyone in the room. You all really went all out to paint me as the mistress, didn't you? My voice wasn't loud, but it was clear enough for everyone to hear. Chloe came over to grab my hand. Just confess, Stella. I will beg Mrs. Harrington to show you mercy. I slapped her hand away and looked at Detective Carter. Detective Carter, please list all the evidence Chloe and Mr. Harrington have provided today. I raised my fingers, counting them down one by one. First, the hotel security footage and booking records under my ID. Second, the Snapchat burner account using my photo to message Mr. Harrington. Third, the bank statement showing $50,000 transferred to my account. Fourth, this abortion consent form from New York Central Hospital. I turned to Chloe and Liam, my voice rising with absolute authority. You two, in front of the police, confirm this one last time. All of this evidence involves actions taken by me personally. None of this was forged by anyone else, correct? Chloe yelled without hesitation. Of course it is you. The evidence is rock solid. What else can you say? Liam gritted his teeth and nodded. Yes, she and I did those things. I am willing to testify under oath. Excellent. Wonderful. I smiled slightly, reached into my inner jacket pocket, pulled out a USB drive, and placed it next to the evidence bag. Detective Carter, please play the files on this drive. The screen flickered, and everyone in the room held their breath. The conference room projector hummed to life. The giant screen, which seconds ago had displayed the grainy lobby footage, split into 4 distinct quad windows. Detective Carter folded his arms, his eyes narrowed at the display. File number 1, I said, my voice echoing with icy precision. An official, notarized affidavit from the New York State Department of Health, alongside my medical portal records. I pointed at the top left window. The abortion form Chloe provided is dated Tuesday the 14th at 2:30 p.m. However, at 2:15 p.m. that exact afternoon, I was at the downtown medical center undergoing a mandatory corporate physical exam, a requirement set by this very company for senior promotion candidates. I looked over at Victoria, whose face twitched. My blood work, vitals, and physician's timestamp are logged in the state medical registry. More importantly, I clicked the laser pointer onto the screen. My medical record explicitly proves I have never been pregnant, nor have I ever undergone any surgical procedure. The blood type on Chloe's document lists O positive. My blood type is AB negative. Whispers rippled through the room like wildfire. She was at a corporate physical? With the company doctor? You can't fake a state medical registry timestamp. Now let's look at file number 2, I continued smoothly. The top right window expanded. It was a high-definition 4K security video from The hallway of New York Central Hospital's outpatient clinic on the 14th. In the frame, a woman in my limited edition trench coat walked up to the counter. She pulled out an ID card, signed the consent form, and turned slightly toward the hallway camera. "Detective, please zoom in on the woman's left hand," I requested softly. Detective Carter's partner tapped the laptop keyboard. The image magnified. On the woman's index finger was a distinctive, hand-carved jade ring with a fractured corner. Every head in the conference room spun simultaneously toward Chloe. On her left hand, catching the overhead fluorescent light, was that exact same hand-carved jade ring. Chloe's breath hitched. She instinctively slammed her left hand into her blazer pocket, her face draining of all color. "And no, that's a coincidence. I lent her that ring." Chloe stammered, her voice skyrocketing into an octave of pure panic. She borrowed it from me." "Did you also lend her your fingerprint?" I asked coldly. I clicked to file number 3. This is the official statement from the Intercontinental Hotel's Loss Prevention Department, along with the raw, unedited 1080p lobby footage. The video Chloe showed you earlier was cropped to hide the reflection in the glass pillar next to the reception counter. The bottom left window played the uncropped video. In the high-resolution reflection, the woman wearing my trench coat picked up her pin. As she reached for the room key, the sleeve of the coat pulled back. On her wrist was a small, heart-shaped red ink tattoo, a tattoo I do not have, but one Chloe got during our sophomore year of college. "And finally, file number 4, I said, my tone dropping to a lethal calm. "The $50,000 bank transfer." The final screen showed a bank forensic routing map. The $50,000 sent from the corporate account into my old Chase card was automatically routed out 45 seconds later via a pre-authorized wire transfer instruction. The destination? A secondary offshore checking account, registered under the name of Sterling Marketing LLC, a dummy shell company owned by Chloe Sterling. Silence descended upon the room, heavy and suffocating. Victoria's eyes drifted slowly from the screen to Chloe, then to her husband, Liam. Liam was sweating profusely, his collar suddenly looking 3 sizes too tight. "So," I said, stepping closer to Detective Carter, "we have identity theft, grand larceny, corporate embezzlement, wire fraud, medical forgery, and filing a false police report, all committed under oath, in front of law enforcement officers." Chloe's legs gave out. She stumbled back against the mahogany table, knocking over a glass of water. "Liam," she shrieked, dropping all pretense. "Liam, say something. You told me this would work. You said if we framed her, Victoria would kick her out and make me the department manager. You promised me." The room exploded. "Shut up. Shut your mouth, you crazy bitch," Liam roared, his face turning an unsightly purple. He lunged across the table toward Chloe, but Detective Carter's partner shoved him back into his chair. "Sit down, Mr. Harrington," the officer barked. Victoria looked as if she had been struck by lightning. She turned on her husband, her fingernails digging so hard into her Hermes bag that the leather groaned. "You," Victoria whispered, her voice trembling with a rage far terrifying than her previous outbursts. "You slept with her? With this cheap, backstabbing assistant?" Glowing text suddenly flashed in my line of sight once more, visible only to me. The CEO's wife isn't just mad about the affair. She owns 60% of the company's voting shares through her family's trust. Liam is just a hired executive. Look at the red folder in Chloe's bag. It contains the real offshore accounts where they embezzled $2 million over the past 2 years. I absorbed the floating text in a fraction of a second. My lips curved into a faint, merciless smile. "Mrs. Harrington," I spoke up, drawing everyone's attention back to me. "If I were you, I would be much more concerned about your family's equity than your husband's infidelity." Victoria snapped her head toward me. "What do you mean?" "Chloe didn't just help your husband frame me to cover up their affair," I said, pointing at Chloe's designer tote bag sitting on the edge of the desk. "She kept collateral." Asked Detective Carter to search that red folder in her bag. "It contains the shell company records for the $2 million they've drained from Harrington Enterprises over the last 18 months. Chloe screamed and scrambled to snatch her bag, but Detective Carter was faster. He pulled the thick red folder out and flipped it open. His eyes widened as he scanned the top document. Wire receipts, double invoicing, offshore transfers to the Cayman Islands. Detective Carter read aloud, his voice grave. "Signed by Liam Harrington and authorized by Chloe Sterling." Victoria let out a strangled gasp. She didn't hit Liam this time. She walked up to him, took the heavy gold wedding band off her finger, and threw it directly into his face. "You're done, Liam," she said, her voice dropping to a terrifying ice. "I am stripping your executive powers effective immediately. Security." Two armed building security guards immediately stepped through the doorway. "Escort Mr. Harrington and Miss Sterling out of my building," Victoria commanded. Coldly. "Or rather, let the police take them." Detective Carter pulled 2 pairs of handcuffs from his belt. "Liam Harrington, Chloe Sterling, you are both under arrest for grand larceny, corporate fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy," Detective Carter announced, snapping the metal cuffs onto Chloe's wrists first. Chloe wept hysterically, her mascara running down her face in dark streaks. She reached out toward me, her eyes filled with desperate panic. Stella, please. We were best friends. I was forced into this by Liam. He threatened to fire me if I didn't help him steal the money." I stood there, my hands folded neatly in front of my skirt, watching her with absolute indifference. "You were right about one thing earlier today, Chloe," I said softly, bending down so only she could hear my voice. "You really shouldn't have been my friend. Because you never realized that every time you thought you were playing me, I was writing everything down." The police led Liam and Chloe out through the main lobby in handcuffs. Because the incident occurred during peak business hours, dozens of employees witnessed the CEO and the senior assistant being dragged away by law enforcement. Photos and videos of the scene hit the company intranet within minutes, followed swiftly by local business news outlets. Inside the conference room, the remaining department executives stood in dead silence, afraid to even breathe. Victoria sat at the head of the table, her head resting in her hands, her shoulders visibly tense. The glowing text flashed in front of my eyes again. "Victoria is about to call an emergency board meeting to nominate an interim department manager. The old manager, Davis, was in on the embezzlement scheme. He's hiding in his office right now trying to wipe his hard drive. Tell Victoria about Davis now. The board meeting is in 20 minutes. I took a breath and stepped toward Victoria. "Mrs. Harrington." Victoria lifted her head. Her face was pale, but her eyes held the sharp, aristocratic coldness of a woman who had run multi-million-dollar corporations before her husband ruined everything. "Stella," Victoria said, her voice raspy. "I owe you an apology. I allowed my anger and their lies to blind me. I struck you. Your apology is accepted, Mrs. Harrington," I replied calmly. "However, the company is still bleeding. The embezzlement didn't stop with Liam and Chloe. Davis Miller, the current operations manager, was the one who signed off on the fraudulent invoices." Victoria's eyes narrowed instantly. "Davis. If you check the internal server logs right now, you'll find he is currently executing a mass deletion script on his workstation," I said, pulling my phone out. I took the liberty of freezing his administrative access 30 minutes ago using my security protocols. Victoria stood up, a surge of fierce respect flashing in her eyes. "You froze his access? I am a computer science major after all," I smiled thinly, as Chloe so helpfully pointed out earlier. Victoria stared at me for 3 long seconds. The anger that had consumed her earlier was completely replaced by a shrewd, calculating appreciation. "The board of directors is assembling upstairs in 15 minutes, Victoria said, smoothing her skirt with absolute composure. "Stella, come with me. You're going to present the audit findings to the board yourself." "And the department manager position?" I asked, looking straight into her eyes. "If the audit is clean," Victoria said, offering a tight, powerful smile, "the department manager position is the least of what you deserve." 3 hours later, the emergency board meeting ended with a unanimous vote. Liam Harrington was officially removed as CEO and stripped of all equity options, pending criminal prosecution. Davis Miller was arrested in the lobby at 2 p.m. while trying to sneak out with an encrypted flash drive in his shoe. And at 3:30 p.m., a company-wide email was broadcast to all 5,000 employees of Harrington Enterprises. Announcement: Stella Vance appointed as Vice President of Operations and Head of Corporate Security, effective immediately. I stood in the corner office on the top floor, the office that had belonged to Liam Harrington just 4 hours ago. The floor-to-ceiling windows offered a breathtaking, panoramic view of the Manhattan skyline. The sun was beginning to set, casting a golden-crimson glow across the glass skyscrapers. I walked up to the mahogany desk, picked up Liam's old nameplate and tossed it unceremoniously into the trash can. The glowing chat text appeared before my eyes one last time. "Mission accomplished. You have cleared the trap, eliminated the rivals, and taken the throne. System logging off." The text flickered softly, then dissolved into little specks of gold light, before vanishing completely into the air. I smiled, running my fingers over the edge of the clean marble desk. Whether those glowing words were a miracle, a subconscious glitch of my own hyper-observant mind, or a guardian angel, it didn't matter anymore. The board was cleared. The pieces were reset. A soft knock sounded at the door. My new executive assistant, a young woman with sharp eyes and a clean notebook, stepped inside. Ms. Vance, the legal team has prepared the civil restitution lawsuits against Chloe Sterling and Liam Harrington. They're asking for your final sign-off. I turned around, the golden sunset catching the sharp, victorious gleam in my eyes. Tell legal to demand full damages, I said, my voice cold, steady and utterly unstoppable. And tell them, don't show any mercy.